House to Home, presented by RE/MAX Diamond Realty.
Hafa and happy Tuesday to you and yours, everybody. This is House to Home, and I'm Jason Salas, and my friends at RE/MAX Diamond Realty, Liz Duenas and Gina Campos, join me once again. And we've been talking about the many troubles that several of our island neighbors have experienced with using their property, being able to commercialize their property, being able to pass down their property and develop their property for their own purposes. But, today we're doing something very special because we are introducing a person from our community who, unfortunately, is one such case. Mr. John Santos, a resident of Santa Rita, Sumay, he and his beautiful wife have made Guam their home for many, many years. Mr. Santos is a GovGuam retiree of the Port Authority. He has served Guam nobly. He wants to make Guam his home. And unfortunately, he's got a story to share with you about some of the roadblocks that he's experienced trying to make use of his own land. So ladies, Hafa and Mr. Santos, thank you for joining us today and sharing your story with us.
So, John, you want to go ahead and tell your story for the listening audience?
Okay. So, because our parents have passed, we don't qualify for a parental subdivision settlement. So we had to settle our parents' property through probate. During our land registration process, we were opposed by our neighbors along with two attorneys from the AG's office, Miss Finney and Mr. Keeler. We had to hire an attorney to go to court to settle in order to make our subdivision possible. We had to give up over 1 acre of our property for road encroachment and easements. So now that our probate had closed, we are now being denied building permits because, number one, our lots are only 1,368 square meters and are less than half acre. These lots exceeds the parental minimum lot size. Our properties are sitting on top of the water lanes, and every single home in our neighborhood are on septic tank and leaching field. Number three, our lots are court-ordered distribution, not parental. Our properties are now considered liability. We are stuck. We can't build. We can't sell. The only ones profiting from our settlement are the attorneys, the court, surveyors, and revenue tax that we pay taxes for. So for now, all we can do is wait and hope for the senators to amend the law or create a new one to include the decedent subdivision. It's just very frustrating, it's time-consuming and very costly for us. And up to now, we haven't heard anything from the senators, actually, from all my siblings that emailed in for any help.
So Jason, this is the story that we've been bringing up in some of our shows. And the thing I want to stress is John is putting a face to the situation. And what we've been trying to point out is that the unfairness of what EPA and actually the senators themselves, specifically Senator Sabina Paris, for not addressing this in a more reasonable time frame. We brought this up to the legislature. I personally emailed everyone at the legislature, but more particularly Senator Sabina Paris, because I was told she's the oversight of EPA, and what's happening is because of EPA implementing what they believe are the new interpretation. And I stress that word because the laws have not changed at all since John's map was approved through land management. and ordered by the court through his probate of his parents' property. Nothing has changed except personnel at EPA, specifically Brian Bearden, has been put in the position at EPA, and his interpretation now is that if your property is not half an acre and you're over the waterlands, then you must bear the burden of, I guess, preserving the aquifer and protecting the waterlands. And we just don't believe that that is fair to the community, to families like Mr. Santos, because he essentially cannot do anything until the legislature, EPA, and specifically Brian Bearden is promoting the use of nitrate reducing systems as an alternative to a typical septic tank, which nobody is saying no to that. But the problem is you cannot use it yet because it is not in the law. And can John create the law? No, he can't. Can Gina and Liz create the law? No, we can't. We've been pointing this out to the legislature, and it's been a snail's pace, in my opinion. In the meantime, we've done environmental laws, and it's been submitted to the legislature recently. I mean, all kinds of things have been submitted recently. And the protection of people's private property rights is not important. I don't know. We're frustrated. John's frustrated.
Sure.
I think the
Liz,
sad part,
Liz,
the
can
sad
I
part-
ask, is Mr. Santos's case, is this an outlier? Is this an edge case or anything? Or is he, maybe
Well,
more alarmingly, does he typify what a lot of Guamanians are
the-
going through with their land?
The sad part is this has been a 20-year process for Mr. Santos.
20 years.
20-year process, and he's been going through here's a citizen who's been following the channels with the hope there'll be end of the tunnel, a light at the end of the tunnel, and for a 20-year process, and then to see that the property that he has inherited has houses in the neighborhood, and then there are other properties that were processed through parental subdivision, and there is a law that said decedent maps, and again, we're kind of going back. Gina and I have talked about this. There is a law that allows for it. However, as Gina puts it, through interpretation, he got the short end of the stick. And so, he's really ticked off, and he wants the people of Guam to know, hey, this is what happened to me. It could happen to you, the same sort of situation because of laws that are not being adhered to. And in our opinion, is the interpretation of some of these laws. And Gina's right. If there is an issue or a conflict in the law, let's fix it. And that's why I was telling all these new senators that are planning on coming in, or candidates, look at fixing what the problems are, because the community right now is at a loss. And until someone steps up to fix the problem, we're still going to be at this juncture, 5 years, 10 years down the road? That's unacceptable.
Right. Okay. And Gina said it, and I think very fittingly so. Gina, you said now we have a face to this issue. I'd also like to ask Mr. Santos to share his voice. So, Mr. Santos, have you talked to any other people, maybe family members or neighbors or even total strangers here in the island, who say they're going through an ordeal as you have gone through? And have you been given any assurances from anybody, either from the government or from senators or anybody that you could have a light at the end of the tunnel?
No, but some says they're going to be faced with the same situation I'm going through. Yeah. They haven't gone through the process, but they said they will be going through the same situation.
So they're looking to you for advice, like people like that are just beginning this journey.
No, not really. Yeah.
Okay.
Jason, they're reaching out to us, and that's why we became aware of this problem. Is they're emailing, Liz and I have people that are reaching out to us to ask us what they can do. And the reality of this is that a citizen like John or any other citizen who has received their property through probate and their property is less than half an acre, they really at this point cannot do much except to protest. And John and Liz and I, we've been protesting, but really this falls on the senators. This goes right into their basket. This is exactly what they need to do. EPA is demanding through their authority that the government adopt a new nitrate system, which, as I'm going to point this out again, no one is against it. The problem is I can't write a law. John can't write a law. Jason, you can't write a law. It falls to the legislature, and particularly Senator Perez, because she's her EPA falls under her committee. And so, and we've tried reaching out to other senators to say, is there any way we can speed this up? Because families like John and the rest of these people have contacted us. They're perplexed as to how John's property could literally be on one side of the street, and his family is burdened with the preservation of the environment. And on the other side of the street, parental subdivision landowners don't have to worry about that. They can get their building permit and put in a septic tank. Where's the fairness in that? And so we've been trying to, John Duenas, myself, Liz, and other members of the GAR. I'm not a member of the GAR Legislative Committee, but the members of the Legislative Committee, we've been pushing Senator Perez and saying, please, let's just get the nitrate system, write the bill to adopt that and put it into law. But we have gotten caught up in the bureaucracy, and to me, the desire of EPA to have more oversight, more say, more authority. And so instead of just pushing the bill forward to add in the nitrate system, there is so much more that's being added in there that we honestly have not been able to say, yeah, that looks good. In fact, we said, no, this is terrible. And they're not focusing on the issue, which is just add the nitrate system. Now, I know, John, you could share with us after your story came out in the Post. I understand Senator Perez reached out to you. Please share with us how that meeting went. Are you optimistic that it went well, or do you feel it didn't?
No, actually, we didn't go too far. She says that they're not sitting on it, they're working on it, and it's a problem between her, EPA, and Guam Water Works, where they keep going back and forth. And she says they're working on it, so it's a matter of time now. When?
I also understand from your meeting with Senator Perez that she shared with you that she felt you could get a building permit at this time. And yeah. I know.
Yeah, I'm not sure why she says, I'm good to go as far as building on our property because our lot exceeds the minimum parental subdivision lots, but that's not what, according to Bearden, says. Anything that's under half acre, according to Bearden, we cannot build, not unless we are under a parental subdivision. We will be allowed for under half acre, but we're a decedent and he's only following the law. I said, this one, went through the court and all that, but he goes, the court only supports the law. They don't make the law, they enforce the law. But when I read that law, again, no matter how you say it, these properties came from our parents, whether it's a parental or a decedent's property, a settlement, it came from our parents. The only problem is my parents had passed. That's the only difference.
Yeah, this wasn't property that you paid, you cut somebody a check for because it was on the market and it looked good. This is your birthright that was passed down.
Yeah, it was passed on from our parents.
Right.
So I don't know, it's very frustrating. And it's been too long, too costly.
Now, John, can you tell us why are you looking to build on your property? What was your goal in being able to build? Because you shared your story about why you want to build. I mean, it's easy for you to just give up and say, okay, never mind. But your reason for building, I think you should share with the community.
Yeah, I want to build on my property to have something for my daughter with special needs. I can't depend on GovGuam. You know, I need something to support my daughter because she can't do it on her own. She's totally dependent for the rest of her life. So I want to build something to leave behind for her. Likewise, my other daughter. But actually, it's for my daughter with special needs.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking to hear that, because you said, you know, I can't depend on the government. Sir, Mr. Santos, you retired from that same government. The government depended on you to do your job honestly and
Okay.
nobly down at the port.
What I'm trying to say there is, you know, I can't depend. Welfare is not going to support my daughter.
Mhm.
You know, it's not going to provide for her everything. She's still going to need gas. She's going to need to pay water and power and all that. I don't want her to be dependent on the government. I want her to have something, you know, on her own.
Liz, are there any other stones that haven't been unturned that Mr. Santos, or, you know, people that want to advocate for him could possibly, you know, like?
I think Jason is like, I mean, we started a process, and we wanted him to share his story, and we have compassion for him and his family, but he's not the only one. There are many others out there that may not even be aware of the problems they're going to be encountering. So we're kind of like, Gina and I are taking on the fight. There have been steps with the law to correct some of the problems to fix this. However, it's not happening as quick as we'd like it. We're going into general election, and I know that the bill draft has been going back and forth among the agencies, but hey, it's about time to get it going. And every time there's a meeting scheduled, it's rescheduled. And I know that John Duenas has been just going into the intricacies of the law to see how that would affect in the long run. So he's trying to make sure that the bill has stuff to help versus be a detriment. So even if it passes and then Mr. Santos has regulatory issues that he has to jump through more hoops, that's not going to cut it. We're trying to make it easier for our community.
And Jason, I want to point out, John is just the voice and the face of the issue. There are many, many other families out there who perhaps don't even understand that this is going to impact them as well. And I'm again, you know, I plead with everyone out there, the audience that's watching. John might be the one speaking up now, but we encourage you to speak up and call the senators, particularly Senator Perez, because we need her to actually advocate as hard as she advocates for the environment. I am asking her to advocate for its citizens as hard as she does for the environment.
Simple as that. Okay.
Simple as that. And there are people out there, Jason, that when the battle cry is, we'd have the battle cry. There are a lot of people in the northern area, and there are people in the southern area that have also been affected. So I just told them, be ready, because they're going to have to come in and either support the bill or not support it, depending on how it's written.
Well, you know, I guess kind of fittingly, let's give the last word to, you know, to our guest today. So, Mr. John Santos from Santa Rita Sumay, we'd like you to say, like, you know, in your own words, and I apologize because I'm sure this is a song you've sung a cajillion times already and everything, but we'd humbly ask you to say it like one more time, you know, with your own voice and looking into the camera, like, what would you like the government to know about what you've been going through, and what would you like them to do to help you?
Well, all I'm asking for is, to come up with a solution. Not only for me, but the rest of my family and other people, landowners that are going to be affected by this. And basically come up with a new law and treat us the way parental subdivisions are being treated.
Yeah.
We're no different. So basically, because it's very frustrating, and I've been going through this for too long, and I just can't say anymore.
Oh, very, very well said. So, Mr. Santos, thank you once again, Cizos Masi, and thank you for being very candid and sharing your story. And we wish you the best, and we wish you hopefully more success as you continue to go through this. 20 years in.
Okay, thank you, Jason.
All right, thank you, Liz and Gina. Thank you as always.
Thank you, Jace.
All right, hopefully we'll have much better news about Mr. Santos the next time we talk. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Okay, yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.